Maulud Mubarak, and many thanks for joining us on Nationwide on Africa's largest television network. I'm Ian Ray John. President Muhammadu Buhari extends greetings to entire Nigerian citizens and Muslims at home and abroad, in particular on the occasion of Eid al-Maulud, the birthday of Prophet Muhammad, and wishes everyone peace, happiness and good health. In a statement by Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity to the President, Garba Shehu, President Buhari said the nation is making great progress and that the APC-led federal government in dealing with issues of security, the war against corruption, the reform and restructuring of the economy and provision of needed infrastructure. He asked for prayers for the nation for peaceful electioneering as we embark on the journey to democratic election in the new year. Now time to get more stories on Eid al-Maulud from Lagos, and Higino would lead us.
Thank you, Iyare, and welcome to Lagos. Happy Maulud. The projection that Nigeria can earn $500 billion within 5 years through diversification is enticing, but the concept is still yearning for proper structure. The good news, however, is that prominent Nigerians are suggesting that with states given absolute control of resources in their domains, the goal appears nearer than farther. Michael Olale attended a forum in Lagos tagged Handshake Across Nigeria, where this issue and others were discussed.
With changing economic indicators and global influence dictating price of crude oil, analysts say better days of the country's high revenue on oil are gradually drawing close. Diversification of the economy has been suggested as the way to go, and this forum believes these can only be possible when sovereignty of mineral resources are granted to federating states. Nobel laureate Professor Wale Soyinka believes that autonomy will reduce the cost of governance and enable states develop at their own pace.
To be bold, be original, be innovative, but at the same time be realistic. Some states may have more of such resources than others, just as it is in the international community. However, the successful nations have used their abilities through right political and economic policies to make themselves worthy and powerful.
The summit, tagged Handshake Across Nigeria, is calling for the unity of purpose among citizenry as veritable tool for development.
You need to get an alignment of people with the same take and look at the country we run, and then we can affect the change, perhaps over time.
A model based on sharing of government revenue must give way to a structure that will challenge and drive productivity in different regions of the country.
The participants were unanimous as they advocated new thinking and innovation if the country must be economically relevant beyond the oil era. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NT News.
The Administrative Staff College of Nigeria, ASCON, has concluded the 6th series of its regular course with a charge to the participants to impact positively on the nation's economy. The Director General, ASCON, Cecilia Gaya, gave the charge during the closing ceremony of the program, which held at the college auditorium, Topo, Badagry. Rotimi Oluwagbemi reports.
For 2 weeks, 52 participants were exposed to various management and administrative courses. They are managers and assistant directors drawn from public and private sectors. The program for regular courses, according to ASCON, is designed to equip participants with requisite knowledge to carry out their responsibilities effectively and efficiently. The Director General, ASCON, Cecilia Gaya, expressed optimism that the public service will be strengthened by adopting practical approaches to various challenges. She described as impressive the performances of the participants.
It is my hope that your exposure to our programs will come in handy as you go back to your respective organizations so that you can contribute your quota to the successful implementation of the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan of government and the 2017 and 2020 strategic plan put together by the head of civil service of the Federation for the growth and development of our dear nation.
The closing ceremony featured presentation of certificate to participants.
The experience here is unique. A lot of grounds were covered in the areas of strategic management, mentoring.
It's a participatory training, and we're well attended to.
So when coming to ASCON, definitely you will learn something because they'll be talking to you based on the experiences.
I have learned so much from here about time management. I've learned about job analysis. I've learned also about, enhancing my performance.
Established on the 2nd of June 1972, ASCON is mandated to provide higher management training for the development of senior executives for public and private sectors. In Lagos, Rotimi Oluwagbemi, NTA News.
Muslim faithful in Lagos came out in their numbers to celebrate the Eid al-Mawlud, marking the birthday of the Prophet of Islam. Awal Yusuf Jubo was on the streets of Lagos to observe the celebration mood. This report will be brought to you in our subsequent bulletin. That's our contribution from Lagos. Back to Yenre in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Thank you, Hingino. Sequel to the raging controversy between the organized labor and the state governors over the proposed national minimum wage of 30,000 naira, President Buhari has granted audience to a delegation of the Nigerian Governors Forum to chart a way forward. State House correspondent Adamu Samba reports that the chairman of the forum and governor of Zamfara State, Abdulaziz Yari Abubakar, led the governors to the meeting held behind closed doors. The meeting, which lasted about 1 hour, was also attended by Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige. Details of the discussion were not made public, and efforts by newsmen to hear from any of the participants proved abortive. It will be recorded that the Amapepo Tripartite Committee on the Review of the National Minimum Wage has submitted its report to President Buhari, recommending 30,000 as the new minimum wage. President Buhari, while receiving the report, expressed delight that the committee successfully completed its assignment in a peaceful and non-controversial manner. He said the federal government would transmit an executive bill on the matter to the National Assembly for consideration within the shortest time possible. However, state governors have individually and collectively expressed reservations over the proposed national minimum wage figure, saying they are not in a stable financial position to pay. Moving on, Nigeria has signed a $60 million agreement with the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, to sustain efforts of government in rebuilding the economy. Leah Katung Babatunde reports that this is the second country program of UNIDO for sustainable industrial development in Nigeria after the first expired in 2017.
United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, is one of Nigeria's development partners in the areas of trade and industry. The first phase of the country program initiated by UNIDO in Nigeria saw projects cut across critical economic sectors like industry and manufacturing, agribusiness, renewable energy and environment, all aimed at supporting the government in diversifying the economy. The new country program targets the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals SDG, especially Goal number 9, which focuses on building resilient infrastructure, promoting inclusive and sustainable industrialization, as well as fostering innovation.
What will happen is I want to see more jobs created, particularly in industry. It has been said that industry creates more jobs when it succeeds. Whether it's light manufacturing or more complicated or more complex manufacturing, it just creates jobs, and we need those jobs desperately.
The country program for 2018 to 2020 has 9 areas of focus designed to strengthen existing relationship between Nigeria and UNIDO. It is aligned to government's development strategies, including the Vision 2020, the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan ERGP, Industrial Revolution Plan, and UNIDO's mandate on inclusive and sustainable industrial development.
I just would like to say, through the country program implemented, Nigeria become a leader in mobilizing the resources from small hydro.
Of the $60 million expected to be spent during the course of the program, Nigeria will pay 30%, multilaterals and other donor agencies another 30%, while UNIDO funds the rest. In Abuja, I'm Leah Kating Babatunde, NTA News.
And away from the economy, now talking law, Nigeria's security and prosecuting agencies have been reminded of their role in the successful implementation of the national policy on justice and the criminal justice laws. This came at a national workshop on the implementation of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. Femi Okiewo reports.
The Administration of Criminal Justice Act has been variously described as the ultimate solution to Nigeria's criminal justice problems. That is, if all the sections are faithfully implemented. Sections 29, 33 and 34 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act stipulate the roles which all agencies that have the powers of arrest have to play in ensuring fairness and quick dispensation of justice. It is from this premise that the national policy on justice was also drawn. So this workshop brought together chief judges of states, the Nigerian police, the customs services, ICPC, EFCC, and such other agencies that the law gives the powers of arrest and prosecution to comply with the provisions of the Act on Justice Dispensation.
A workshop such as this, which is intended to review and adopt a national template for the implementation of the Administration of Criminal Justice.
Part of the zonal office of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission located at Wuse 2 was gutted by fire late Monday night. The commission's acting spokesman, Tony Orilade, confirmed the incident, which he said started at about 8 p.m. However, he said the quick response of the men of the Federal Fire Service subdued the fire successfully. The fire started at the former newsroom of the Commission, which now serves as storage for ICT equipment that were retrieved from various offices of the Commission within the Federal Capital Territory. Cleanup operations have already commenced in the affected area. Now time to move to Makurdi as Police Command made stakeholders on violence-free 2019 election. Charles is standing by to bring God's details. Hello, Charles.
Oh, thanks for joining us in Makurdi. Muslims in various groups thronged the streets of Makurdi, the Benue State capital, in a procession to mark the Eid al-Malud. Here are the details. The colorful adornment of the various groups of the Muslim faithful aptly explained the essence of the procession, the commemoration of the birth of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Virtually, all the streets of the North Bank area of Makurdi had a feel of the crisscrossing of the Muslim faithful of all ages. Leaders of the groups, Sheikh Hamza Imam and Ibrahim Sefianu, said the day reminds Muslims of the teachings and peaceful disposition of Prophet humanity. The Sarikin Hausawa Makurdi Metropolis, Ralianu Sagami, expressed satisfaction over the humane conduct of the procession and urged the faithful to abide by the tenets of Islam, which, among other things, emphasize truthfulness and peace. Eid al-Malud is celebrated annually in accordance with the Islamic calendar globally. And on security, the Benue State Police Command has tasked political actors to adhere to the electioneering rules, saying the police is poised to providing a level playing ground and ensuring a violence-free elections. Commissioner of Police, Benue State, Mr.
We do sincerely apologize for the poor signals from Makurdi. We shall take a break now. Nationwide continues in a bit. Good to have you back. And if you just joined us, you're watching Nationwide on Africa's largest television network. We now have clearer signals from Makurdi, so we shall rejoin Charles. Charles, it's over to you.
In Makurdi, the Benue State Police Command has tasked political actors to adhere to the electioneering rules, saying the police is poised to providing a level playing ground and ensuring violence-free elections. Commissioner of Police, Benue State, Mr. Okon Ene Etim, gave the charge during an interaction with this resident electoral commissioner and executive members of political parties in the state. Elias Itiaf has the details.
Though political activities have been going on in Benue State with the conduct of congresses, primaries and other events, the lifting of the ban on campaigns has brought an additional dimension to the process. It is to guard against unforeseen. Command has brought together political actors and monitors for an engagement platform and to remind them of what are expected for a violent free election processes. Commissioner of Police, Benue State, Mr. Okon Ene Etim, represented by his Deputy Operations, Mr. Tunji Akimbola, urged politicians to avoid acts such as hate speech, use of weapons, destruction of posters of opponents, and other unwholesome conducts.
We are not stopping at this. We are going to engage the youths who are probably the foot soldiers of some of the politicians. We have been engaging communities and community leaders and even traditional rulers.
The essence of this discussion is to gather information, glean as much as we can, and then use the information we are gathering as preparation. Then in the course we can use some mitigation strategies and ensure that we mitigate all the possible areas of threat to the security during election.
The forum provided participants the opportunity to be guided on issues bordering on security at the polling units and how to avoid vote buying. In Makudi, Elias, Etiaf, NT News.
Youths in Taraba State are increasingly benefiting from entrepreneurship development programs following support from government and non-governmental organizations. Joseph Hossein reports that 663 of the skills acquisition training of Hope Afresh Foundation were presented with startup machines and other materials to establish their own businesses.
Entrepreneurship development is among the drivers of jobs and wealth creation in any economy. Taraba State is recording success stories in the trade through the non-governmental organization Hope Afresh Foundation. Thousands have been graduated and are presently engaged in different ventures. Recently, the foundation, which is the non-governmental organization of the wife of the Taraba State Governor, Anadarius Ishaku, presented startup packs made up of sewing machines, hair dryers, computers, and welding machines, among other equipment, to 663 graduates of its skills acquisition program.
For only those who have skills will get jobs, and only those that are knowledgeable or can acquire skills.
The beneficiaries were selected from the 16 local government areas of the state, including Yantu and Ngada special development areas. The foundation says it graduated 5,679 participants in the first batch of the skill acquisition scheme. They received training in tailoring, computer appreciation, event management, satellite installation, among other skills. In Jalingo, Joseph Sound Utsen, NTA News.
That report runs off our contribution from Makudi. Is over to Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Many thanks, Charles. As the campaigns for the 2019 general elections formally kick off, politicians and the electorates have been enjoined to play by the rules that govern politics so as to have a free, fair and credible election in 2019. This was the thrust of guest and NTA's Good Morning Nigeria program, who discussed the 2019 political campaigns. Patricia Esami Luba reports.
With slogans like Next Level from the All Progressives Congress and Getting Nigeria Working Again from the People's Democratic Party, campaigns for the 2019 elections have commenced in earnest. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria urged politicians to conduct their activities in an organized and peaceful manner, devoid of rancor, hate and inflammatory speeches.
On the side of the people must understand that they have the greater say and they have the bigger power on the negotiation table right now.
The governors, either APC or PDP, should also be fair to all concerned, should also give that free opportunity or that opportunity to the other party so that they will have that sense of belonging, they will have the belief in the system.
They stress the need for an even-handedness by security agencies in the discharge of their duties to douse tension ahead of the 2019 general elections.
The law doesn't work if you don't work it. Yeah. So let us work the law. That's why I said it's going to be forensic. Never before in the history of this country have we come, in all the fights, have we come to the verge of near total collapse of security apparatus. It has never happened before.
The guests call on all stakeholders to mutually accept and tolerate one another and to see Nigeria as the bigger picture than self-gain. In Abuja, Patricia A. Semiluba, NTA News.
The rights of women to vote and be voted for is a prerequisite to gender equality and political development, an agenda which the National Human Rights Commission is committed to promote. The Executive Secretary of the Commission, Anthony Ojukwu, reiterated this while receiving petitions from the Conference of Women Parliamentarians on the discrimination of women in vying for political positions across the country. Aliu Tukur reports.
Participation in politics facilitates their direct engagement in public decision-making and is a means of promoting better accountability to women. In Nigeria, women have been recording low participation in both elective and appointive positions. However, efforts have been made by government and non-governmental organizations to increase the level of women participation in politics, such as the National Gender Policy, which recommended the 35% affirmative action in elective and appointive positions. With all this, the Conference of Women Parliamentarians say there is need to put more efforts as women are shortchanged.
For me, I was excluded on the day of the primaries. In fact, I was specifically told that the seat I'm contesting for is meant for a man. And look at, it's not a dance you dance holding your chest. It's a man's dance.
The Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission says the Commission will work with civil society organizations to sponsor a bill that will ensure gender-balanced participation in politics.
At every point in time in the parliament, there must be 1/3 representation in the parliament, and even more, but the minimum is 1/3.
The Conference of Women Parliamentarians is an organization that works for the better representation of women in politics. In Abuja, Aliu Tukur, NTA News.
And away from politics, now talking security, Chief of Air Staff assesses Operation Green Sweep. Mohammed Imiduguri will bring us up to speed.
Yenre, and welcome to Maiduguri. Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar says the Nigerian Air Force has recorded significant breakthrough in the Lake Chad general area and other major strongholds of Boko Haram insurgents in Borno State following the introduction of Operation Green Sweep. The Chief of Air Staff stated this while reviewing progress made so far in the ongoing Operation Green Sweep. Abubakar Mohamed Musa reports.
Given an overview of Operation Green Sweep, Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar said the operation, which was launched on 14th November 2018, is designed to degrade the remnants of Boko Haram insurgents on the fringes of Lake Chad, as well as ensure that other volatile areas in the northeast region are completely secured. Troops on the front line, he explained, have successfully neutralized a significant number of insurgents and destroyed their hideouts through airstrikes and interdictions involving Nigerian Air Force Alpha jet combat aircrafts supported by intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance platforms, among other offensive.
The operation is going on very well from the briefing we received. And the objectives of the operation were clearly defined at the beginning. From the brief we received, we have substantially achieved what we wanted to achieve, and the operation will continue.
The Chief of Air Staff maintained that troops will continue to carry out close air support missions to further sustain the momentum of operations with a view to locating and destroying terrorist camps. In Maiduguri, Abubakar Mohammed Musa, NTA News.
Staying with security, following directives by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, to construct new detention facility, foundation laying stone of the center was held at Giwa Barracks in Maiduguri. Memuna Garba reports that it is in an effort to ensure suspected Boko Haram terrorists in military custody are adequately taken care of in compliance with human rights and international humanitarian laws.
The construction of new detention facility is to provide functional safe holding center with adequate sanitary conditions for effective management of arrested suspects of Boko Haram terrorists in line with global best practices. The new detention facility is expected to be completed in the next couple of months, which is also expected to accommodate over 3,000 suspects. Chief of Army Staff, represented by Chief of Logistics, Major General Enobom Udo, said the project will further the Nigerian Army compliance with human rights and international humanitarian laws by ensuring that Boko Haram suspects are properly cared for while in detention.
Within this year alone, 500 cleared suspects have so far been released and handed over for rehabilitation and reintegration by the center.
Theater Commander Operation Lafia Dole, Major General Abba Diko, commended the Chief of Army Staff foresight in constructing a new detention facility, stressing that it is incumbent on the Army to accord the suspects with a befitting reception and conducive platform so that justice can be delivered through diligence and due process. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
The federal government says it will continue to explore critical areas in assisting internally displaced persons to transit from dependency on humanitarian aid towards ensuring self-sufficiency and community stabilization. Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and IDPs, Saadia Umar Farouk, made this statement while delivering keynote lecture at the opening ceremony of a maiden international conference of Center for the Study and Promotion of Cultural Sustainability, organized by the University of Maiduguri. Abubakar Mohamed Musa reports.
With the theme Cultural Sustainability, Performance and the Sustainable Development Goals in Time of Crisis, the maiden international conference is designed to bring stakeholders together to discuss and create enabling opportunities towards having stronger cultural values, especially in crisis-affected communities. Delivering a keynote lecture, Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and IDPs, Saadia Umar Farouk, gave an overview of the series of interventions being carried out by the Commission on issues bordering on victims of insurgency in the Northeast region, where she explained that the federal government has continued to provide a roadmap of action towards ensuring the total resettlement of displaced persons in their respective places of abode. Vice Chancellor, University of Maiduguri, Professor Ibrahim Abubakar Jodi, who was represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, Professor Aliu Shugaba, described the conference as apt, considering the effects of uprising on cultural orientation of inhabitants and other moral values. The Federal Commissioner was presented with an award for her role towards changing the lives of IDPs over the years across Nigeria and some staff of the University of Maiduguri by the Center for the Study and Promotion of Cultural Sustainability. In Maiduguri, Abubakar Mohammed Musa, NTA News.
That concludes our contribution. Is back to Ian Ray in Abuja.
Thank you, Mohammed. We shall take a break now. Nationwide continues shortly. Welcome back. The Senate Committee on Basic and Secondary Education has urged agencies under its legislative and oversight purview to ensure that they do not implement budgetary allocations outside their core mandate to achieve the desired development in the sector. This was when some agencies appeared before it to defend performance of their 2018 appropriations. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nanim reports.
Computer Professional Registration Council of Nigeria, National Mathematical Center, and the National Library of Nigeria defended performances of their various appropriations for 2018.
Our support to mathematical activities, we expended 2,500,000 naira in that area.
Most of the projects, because of the time the release was made, most of the projects are either ongoing or procurement processes are ongoing.
As the agencies are yet to receive full releases for their 2018 appropriations, it therefore becomes imperative that the agencies should explore all available collaborative initiatives to generate more revenue to fund the projects with priority attention to their core mandates.
Even where we are, some people used to ask me, is it not a misnomer? Why will CPM be under Ministry of Education? I say because of our core mandate. We are controlling and supervising the education, IT education in Nigeria.
You should be getting ready to work hard to be
sustaining and self-financing. You can do that. There are many computer professionals in Nigeria now that will be able to form this registration council.
To tackle challenges of high cost of power supply, the committee also suggested energy mix alternative and harped on the need for an improved service delivery in the sector.
I think the solar energy can do a lot of things for us.
For the National Mathematical Center, the committee took interest in the budget that will enhance the teaching and learning of mathematics in schools as panacea for economic development of the nation.
Our core mandate is supposed to be bringing the best in mathematics, work-based mathematicians, the teaching of mathematics in Nigeria.
The lawmakers also urged the agency to ensure that the principle of federal character is reflected in their staff strength. From the National Assembly, Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
And staying with education, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Sani Echono, says the ministry will continue to be guided by hard work, discipline, punctuality and attitudinal change in discharging official responsibilities to achieve good governance. Speaking on behalf of the Minister Adamu at the sensitization workshop on reform agenda and campaign awareness for directors in the ministry, Echono says as a bedrock for national development, it behoves on policy makers and administrators in the education sector to be soul-searching as to determine what is self or public interest which should be put first in decisions and actions.
There is an ongoing reform in the service and more so in the education sector. We are committed as a government to improve service delivery to our people. I must also stress that as heads of departments and units, you are all expected to demonstrate high level of integrity and sincerity, which values are immeasurable.
Director, Reform Coordination and Service Improvement, Mr. Egovo, urged his colleagues to ensure that as mentors to their subordinates, they follow the rules so that they can be held accountable for any official conduct. Moving on, Nigerians have been urged to be their brothers' keepers by ensuring the right upbringing of children is upheld and by doing everything possible to foster and take care of street children. This was at an awareness walk by Halal Children's Home in Abuja. Adebola Brooksland Sunday brings us details.
In many cities of the world, especially the developing countries, children have been subject of abuse, neglect, and exploitation. These children, expected leaders of tomorrow, experience various unbearable frustrations, which in most cases made them to end up in the streets, thereby being labeled as street children. To help reposition and redirect children who fall in this category, a group of women with like minds and their male counterparts walk through the streets and house to house of Abuja metropolis, asking people to foster a child to help governments in its efforts to build a better tomorrow for Nigerians.
They are taking these kids off the street and teaching them in the line of Almighty God, so that by the time they are grown, they would, never depart from that line.
It's good to pick children in the street that they didn't have father, they didn't have mother. You can pick them to take them to an orphanage, let them live together.
Caregiver Khadijat Fashina said there are 33 children residents in the Halal home.
They are the future. The more we take care of them, the more we nurture them, the more we provide them with food, with shelter, with education, we are also assuring our own future.
It's an initiative that we need all to promote to ensure that at least for those children that are not privileged to be in a home, they have somewhere they can call their home.
Participants then proceeded to Ansaruddin Mosque, where free medical check and medication were administered to them. Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Many thanks, Adebola. Nigerians are once again tasked with the responsibility of engaging in proper hygiene to end poor sanitation crisis. This was emphasized at this year's World Toilet Day, organized by the Federal Ministry of Environment in Abuja, with the theme, When Nature Calls. Ruth Aguele reports.
One cannot ignore the call of nature on a daily basis. The day is to reawaken mental consciousness on the environmental challenges associated with poor management of toilets and waste disposal. According to reports, it is estimated that more than 120 million Nigerians do not have access to a decent toilet, and about 40 million people still practice open defecation, which poses a major challenge to human life.
Consequences of poor excretion disposal is the high rate of diarrhea disease, which is the second cause of high morbidity and mortality amongst children under the age of 5. Federal government of Nigeria is committed to addressing the sanitation challenges.
The federal government's recent National Action Plan for the Revitalization of Water Supply, Sanitation and Hygiene, WASH, is geared towards addressing sanitation crisis in the country. Stakeholders are urged to key into the plan through private sector partnership in the provision of sanitary facilities to end open defecation.
Toilet business is a very big business because in it lies the danger of personal e-health and danger of community e-health.
People need to be made aware of the dangers of not having a toilet and its consequence on education, on health.
The goal is to bring safe toilets and good hygiene to everyone through policy guidelines for sewage disposal, proper excreta management to meet the Sustainable Development Goals of 2030. In Abuja, Ruth Aguela, NTA News.
And now talking security, Chief of Defense Staff General Gabriel Oloni-Shakin has commended President Buhari for his commitment in ensuring that the military carries out its operations in line with constitutional provision and global best practices. Stated this to the House Committee of Defense and Oversight visit in Abuja. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu reports.
Presentation by the Chief of Defense Staff focuses on successes recorded, completion level of capital projects, and release of intervention funds in 2017 and 2018. He appreciates the efforts of the federal government to enhancing military capacity and the committee for ensuring timely release of funds on several security issues.
We have followed the due process in implementing these projects. Some of these projects were completed in the year 2018.
We will look at all our discussions within the 2019 appropriations that will come to us soon to find solutions to what the DHQ demanded from the committee.
Commandant of the Nigerian Defense Academy briefed the committee on ongoing projects for spiritual development of cadets. This, according to him, is part of their training to enable them understand the impact of reaction on the battlefield. At the Defense Industry Corporation of Nigeria, also in Kaduna State, the committee inspects platforms as part of the company's performance within the period under review. Other achievements by the company includes procurement of local materials for production of military operation tools and setting up of a factory in Kachia for production of primer cap needed for production of bullets.
So now we are relevant to the Air Force, Navy, Army, and of course the security agencies.
Find a way to assist you more so that you can produce more ammunition for us.
The committee finds out that the Armed Forces Commander and Staff College Jaji in Kaduna State received 54% capital appropriation of 2017 and 38% of 2018. Commandant of the college, Air Vice Marshal Lawal Alao, said pre-qualification of contractors is completed. Committee Chairman Mukhtar Ali Biatara said the committee will look into the lack and late release of funds for the institution. Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
And away from Nigeria, heading to Ethiopia, Foreign Affairs Minister Jeffrey Onyema has reaffirmed the commitment of the Buhari administration to providing the conducive environment for Nigerian diplomats around the world to protect the nation's interest. The minister was speaking while inaugurating the residential quarters for Nigerian mission staff in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Foreign Desk correspondent Makut Simon Marcham reports.
Nigeria has an embassy complex in Addis Ababa that it owns, but most of the diplomats posted to the mission live in rented accommodation that is often expensive and exposes them to security concerns. 10 years ago, the then Nigerian ambassador to Ethiopia and the African Union, Olusegun Akinsanya, acquired land for the construction of these residential quarters.
And what we are seeing today in this edifice is to the glory of our two countries. It's also a reflection of what is happening between our two countries.
Today, the project is completed under the leadership of Nigeria's current ambassador to Ethiopia and the African Union, Bankole Adeoye.
The Eagle Apartments physically represent the evidence of political will and resolute commitments of the government of Nigeria, particularly under His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, to remain diplomatically active, strong and effective on our continent.
It was therefore a delight for Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyema and his Ethiopian counterpart as he inaugurated the 2 blocks of residential quarters containing 14 flats in all.
Also our faith in our diplomacy, Nigerian diplomacy, and the priority that we give, that those serving Nigeria should be able to do so in a conducive environment and having the very best environments to enable them to give of the very, very best of themselves.
Ethiopia is always delighted to see relations are nurtured and fraternal cooperation is elevated with the continent of Africa, and in this case with Nigeria.
For Nigerian professionals in Ethiopia and the Nigerian community, the project symbolizes the deepening of relations between the two nations, which gives them pride and confidence that they are welcome in Ethiopia. From Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, Makut Simon Macham, NTA News.
Many thanks, Makut. And back in Nigeria, to encourage global togetherness, irrespective of religious, cultural or political learnings, the Festival of Light echoes the message of triumph of good over evil. This is a thrust of the celebration of Diwali, as explained by the Indian High Commissioner to Nigeria, Nagapushina Reddy, at the instance of the Indian Cultural Association in Abuja. Patricia Esamiluba reports.
Diwali, or the Festival of Lights, connotes the roar of lighted lamps, signifying the arrival of good to replace evil, and gives the feeling of an atmosphere charged with a myriad of colors, sparkling radiance, and contagious exuberance of the Diwali transcendent to all barriers of the festive ground. Bearing that in mind, therefore, one would say the presence of light in any instance illuminates darkness and thereby offering knowledge that removes ignorance. Indian High Commissioner to Nigeria, Nagapushina Reddy, supported by the President of the Indian Cultural Association, lit the lamps to present the power of good and brightness to prevail.
When we say that we want to overcome the darkness and bring in light, I think the light is outside, but there is a larger light within us. And it is this light, I think, I'm sure we all should work towards.
The celebration of Diwali, the organizers say, could not be possible without the contributions of some set of persons who ensure that the Indian community in Nigeria feels at home. In Abuja, Patricia Esamiluba, NTA News.
Internal pressure, workplace pressure and pressure at the home front have been identified as the reasons why men die young in contemporary times. How to surmount these challenges as a man and align with the principles of life is the focus of the interactive session held by non-governmental organization Echo Nigeria International to commemorate the International Men's Day. Obiageli Ugoke has details.
World Health Organization estimates that each year approximately 1 million people die from suicide, which represents a global mortality rate of 16 people per 100,000 deaths every 40 seconds. Out of this number, suicide among males is 4 times higher than that of females. As the world marks International Men's Day, Echo Nigeria International seeks to find answers to questions linking to reasons why men die young in recent times, leaving a lot of responsibilities for the women.
The rate of suicide is at its peak,
And you see men are facing a lot of pressure here and there.
Even when the men are ruling, like they claim today, the men are doing anything, gender equality. What is gender equality? The big men that are succeeding there, they are actually controlled indirectly by their wives.
2018 International Men's Day tries to encourage men globally to shun over-ambitiousness, which is a leading factor to pressure, mental ill health and suicide.
You must do something before waiting for another thing. But when you say, when you finish school, you want, I want to work in the Central Bank, I want to work in CBN, in NNPC, no, you have to start somewhere.
The men have to go back to the drawing board to be able to understand where they have missed it.
International Men's Day was adopted in 1999 in Trinidad and Tobago to draw attention to the health of males and improve gender relations. Obiageli Ugwoke, NTA News.
Now time to talk sports, and Kene Imagbodike would bring us up to speed. The Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, on Monday visited the families of the Kwara All Progressives Congress members who died in a road crash between Omwaron in Kwara State on Sunday. The minister, who was accompanied by officials of the party, visited the families of the 5 deceased members in Arodun, Agwonda, Omwaron, Oko and Odowo, all in Ekiti, in Rekpodun, Ishin, Okiera Federal Constituency, where the APC won a landmark victory at the polls on Saturday. The minister commiserated with their families and hailed the members for their supreme sacrifice for the emancipation of the people of Kwara and promised that the party would not abandon their dependents. And that's our package on Nationwide today. Many thanks for investing your time with us.